Hi Miss, my name is Aishwarya Anil and my topic is importance of vouching and features of vouching. Importance of vouching. Vouching is the essence of the auditing. The success of any auditing assignment depends to a great extent on the quality of vouching. It is a careful and intelligent activity that requires reasonable skill and experience. The auditor checks the authority of each transaction and ensures that it is correctly entered in the books of account. In that sense, voucher forms a core document and very basis of auditing. The auditor should approach vouching with an inquisitive mind. Then only he can find out the errors and frauds. This paragraph says that vouching can be said as the essence of the auditing because the success of the auditing assignment depends on the quality of vouching. Vouching is done with the help of the books of account. Voucher is a core document for the auditing, and the authority of the transaction entered in the books of account should be properly verified. That the auditor should done this vouching with an inquisitive mind. Then only he can find out errors and frauds. Vouching can bring into light of many types of irregularities like recording of unauthorized transaction, complete omission of transaction, recording different amount, errors in posting ledger account, errors in treatment of particular transaction. So these are the different kinds of irregularities that vouching can find out. All these irregularities will have a material implication in the P&L and balance sheet. So vouching is a very important part of the auditor, important part of the work of the auditor. Any negligence or lapse on his part will adversely affect on the quality of audit and auditor will be responsible for it. So this says that vouching is the important part of an auditing. The auditor can find out many of irregularities like recording of unauthorized transaction or omission of a transaction, recording of different amount. This will have a great effect on the P&L and balance sheet. So vouching is an important part of the work of the auditor. Then only he should be done this with an inquisitive mind. Then only he can find out the errors and frauds. But in large organization, it may not be possible for the auditor to conduct vouching of each and every transaction. So, in the case of large organization, auditor should assess the quality and dependability of the internal control system. The auditor may conduct test checks by selecting some representative transactions and conduct in-depth of such transactions. If he is satisfied with the dependability of internal control system, he may take appropriate vouching technique for the remaining transaction. However, complete vouching is required if the internal control system is weak or inadequate in the opinion of the auditor. Moreover, test checking is advisable for only routine transactions. For a specialized transaction, the auditor should conduct detailed vouching. So, in the large organization, the auditor first assesses the dependability and quality of the internal control system. Then he takes some representative transaction and in depth of such transaction. If he is satisfied with the dependability of the such transaction, he may take appropriate vouching technique for the rest of the transactions. If the auditor is not satisfied with the internal control system or if the internal control system is weak, complete vouching is required and test checking is advisable only for routine transactions. For the specialized transaction, the auditor should conduct detailed vouching of each transaction. Next, we can look into the features of audit vouching. The first one is it helps the auditor in understanding the type of the evidence available and its adequacy and liability to support accounting entries. So, vouching is an activity that helps the auditor in understanding the types of evidence which is available for him and adequacy and liability of the transactions in accounting to support accounting entries. So, the next feature is it is the first step of auditor before doing anything else. Then it helps the auditor to satisfy himself as to the accuracy and completeness of transactions recorded in the Books of accounts. So vouching is a process which helps the auditor to ensure the accuracy and completeness of the transactions in the books of account. So my topic is importance of vouching and features of vouching. The importance of vouching says that it is a careful and intelligent activity because it can bring light into many of the irregularities and it forms a very basis of auditing. But in large organizations, it is not possible to conduct vouching for each and every transaction. So the auditor first look at the dependability of the internal control system, then conducted, if he is satisfied, then conducted test checks for the transactions. If the internal control system is weak or inadequate, test checking should not be conducted. Complete vouching is required and it is only suitable for routine transaction. For specialized transaction, the auditor should conduct a detailed vouching of each transaction. And the features are, it helps the auditor in understanding the types of the evidence available. It is the first steps and it helps the auditor to satisfy himself about the accuracy and completeness of the transactions. Thank you.